Hello everyone, welcome to my channels. My name is Valana. Glad to see you here. I talk about all things related to UX design. In today's videos, I want to give you the quick introductions about all things related to UX job interviews. In today's videos, I will cover two main sections. First is what's the typical UX design job interview process, especially the COVID-19 changed many hiring design process. So many of the UX design job interview process changed from the traditional on-site interviews to online interviews, changed to the videos and phone interviews. Second, I will cover what you need to prepare in order to ace your job interviews. Last year, I've interviewed many companies in the pandemic times, including some big tech companies. So typically, the UX design process is largely made up into 4 sections. However, if you are looking for some UX-related internship, the process will be different. Today, I will focus more on the UX full-time job interview process. So first is the phone interviews. The phone interview usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's often done by the recruiters or the HR persons. And the main goal of this call is to understanding about your background. If there is any match between you and these hiring companies, they will often explain in more depth about the job positions and ask you about your current employment status, your past experience, and what your expectations when you want to get into this job. So this step is getting started when you often pass the resume and portfolio screening. Your resume and portfolio will be reviewed by the hiring manager and the teams. So after you submitted your resumes, the companies will review your portfolios and your resumes. If the company think your background and your experience match to their job expectations, they will bring you the phone call. And oftentimes, these recruiters will ask you some questions related to your resumes. Do you know what's the percentage of pass the resume and the portfolio and get you into these phone interviews? Take a guess. I will give you 2 seconds. 1, 2. So it's 70%. Second is a background interview. The format of this round of the interview could be the phone interviews, the video interviews, or the on-site interviews. The on-site interviews is more frequently happened before the 2020, the COVID started. The hiring process and changed to the video calls and the phone call. So when you get performed well in your first round of the phone interviews, the recruiter will bring you to the second round of the background interviews. So some companies, for example, the Facebook now called Metas and LinkedIn's, they will have this process happen in the last round after you passing portfolio presentation, whiteboard challenge, or the app critique. The differences of this round of the phone or video call is this round you will get more deep dive into your design process and the dynamics you worked with your teams. So oftentimes this round of the interview also includes the behavioral questions. So we also call it behavioral question interviews. So many designers that I mentored said that they are intimidated by this round of the behavioral questions. Yes, this steps is quite unpredictable, unlike the portfolio presentations, whiteboard challenge, or app critique that you often can prepare your answers. In this round of the behavior or background interviews, you are typically cannot prepared much. Even though you can Google and search about that company's their behavioral question pool and prepare that answers, but you cannot guarantee that the question you prepared is the interviewers wants to ask about. Also, different company has a different focus to evaluate the candidate, including the designer's background, UX design skills, soft skills. So it also makes this round of the interview feel scared. But luckily, there are many of the content that available online on how to handle them well. A few common topics can help you prepare. I summarize some typical background interview topics you can run through to raise your self-awareness on those topics you may not have been internalized yet. Past work experience. For example, the questions that you could be asking this type of topics including what could you done better? Where could you take it to the next? Second, collaboration skill topic. For example, how do you handle the conflict? How did you pull the user research and content strategist into your design process? Third, your UX design process. So what's your typical UX design process? For example, how do you know this design is already good enough? How do you prioritize the big bet and the incremental adjustments? How would you approach a tight deadline? The career values. What are your short-term and long-term goals? What are your areas for the improvement? What type of the manager do you strive under? Why do you leave your current companies? So those are the typical questions that you could find from those type of topics. Beyond those type of the questions, there are some often common questions that you could be asked in this round of the interviews. For example, tell me about a time when you are disagreed with your product manager. Tell me about a time when you are disagreed with your product decisions. What's your great strengths and weaknesses? So some tips that I want to put in here is you shouldn't prepare the cookie cutter answer. Rather, you should run through some of the most common questions and prepare your answers. Don't go to this round of the interview without any preparations. However, don't over-prepare it, which means you should not read your answers. Even you get these questions you prepare from the interviews, you should not read your answer if you already wrote it in your screen. And the third typical UX design interview process is portfolio reviews. Many big tech firms like to arrange this round of the portfolio reviews after the first round of the phone interviews. For example, Meta's, LinkedIn's, Google's, they would like to arrange this round of interviews after your phone interviews and have the portfolio reviews. What you would be expected in this round is you will be asked to go over 1 to 3 projects in 30 to 45 minutes. Some companies will give you 1 hour for the presentations. And you will present your design works to the design managers, the teams, or other folks in these companies. For example, it may include the design lead or the broader team groups in 3 to 5 people. You need to explain your portfolios in a concise, objective, and attractive ways, and let your audience know how did you contribute to this project, what's led you to make those decisions, what decision you took, and why you decided to take that way. The most obvious but needs to be addressed here is do not simply walk through your portfolio in your online portfolio, because the online portfolio is not effective medium for your verbal storytelling. So in fact, the online portfolio and the presentation decks serves a very different purpose. So therefore, they often have a very different structure. So dedicate your times to translate your online UX design portfolio into the presentation deck. And what can help you success in these steps is, one technique is to perfect your narratives. You should remember that your interviewers are not obligated to stay interested your entire 30 to 45 minutes presentations. So what you can do to attract your interviewer, one of the techniques is to put your final design in the first few slides. Pull your audience in attractive final products can make them eager to trace the steps back with you. And if your project met the success metrics, also make sure to put your final product metrics in front of stacks. You can couple it with your final product design slides. Even if your product is not being get shipped, the fact that when you present your work, it should mean there is something meaningful to you and something that you have been improved by your efforts. It should mean there was some meaningful outcome, such as the improvements in some usability metrics, and you can also mention it there. So the last big sections of the UX design interview process is the app critique, whiteboard challenge, or the design exercise. Many big tech firms require the candidate to do an app critique, a design exercise, or assign you the whiteboard challenge, ask you to lively collaborate with certain designers in one of the interview sections to evaluate your design skills and how you solve the problems, how you approach to a design challenge, and explain your decision behind the solutions. Some companies make the app critiques as optionals, but some companies make it as a required. For example, the Meta, they often require the candidate to take these steps to critique an mobile app, though the same exercise can easily extend it to the desktop app critique or the service apps critique. So you should also make some preparations to not only about the mobile app, but also the desktop app. If you get assigned to this interview process, what you can do to make yourself success is to prepare your framework. A successful app critiques require you to touch thoroughly every aspect of the UX design. And you will have a lot of things to cover. So it will be challenging to remember what you have been hit. Nail down a framework that you are comfortable with. It will allow you to nail down your app critique. So what you should do in your app critique, I highlight some important factor here. You should highlight both bad and the good designs. So oftentimes people likes to critique the bad design, but forget to mention the good part. For the bad portion, remember to always suggest solutions or an improvement. Second is to consider all design perspectives. For example, make sure you can touch on the product strategy, the content strategy, the visual design part, the product thinkings, motions, brandings, but make sure focus on the part that can demonstrate your skill set. If you are not confident with talk about certain part, don't bring it up. Focus on critique your confident design perspectives. It can help you more likely to be selected by the interviewers. Third is to demonstrate both their high levels and the low level design thinkings. You should critique the app from the company's perspectives, the product thinkings, build strategies, to the lower level like the visual design strategy, even small part such as the typography. Most of the companies also likes the candidate to solve a problem through whiteboard challenge. The whiteboard challenge allows you and the companies to evaluate your collaboration skills, how you quickly solve design challenge in a time-sensitive situations. And you may also get some like the take-home exercise. The take-home exercise will allow you to bring the design challenge to home and finish it few hours to a day. So which means you get more times to work on your design challenge. You need to come up with some wireframes or certain high fidelity design solutions. Some company also maybe require you to show a presentations to groups. For the live sessions of the whiteboard challenge, what you need to expect it is you will have live sessions with one of the designers to solve a problem together. You will get an open-ended prompt by the interviewer and deliver a wireframe with the interviewer in that 45 or 1 hour meeting. An unexpected difficulty of these interviews is time management. The interviewer is expected to evaluate your collaboration skills, your problem-solving skills, how you approach to certain design problems, and what's the solutions and the design strategies you often think behind. You are expected to collaborate with these interviewers as a peer. You should leverage them to make the design decisions collectively and quickly. In the same vein as your app critique, what can make you success in this round of the whiteboard challenge is also to select a framework beforehand and to time box each major sections and those of your discussions you can monitoring during that interview session. The video whiteboard challenge will expect you to collaborate with some online design tools such as the Miro, FakeGems, Figma, or other design collaboration tool you are familiar with, or some certain companies will require you to use certain software in this challenge session. For example, Google sometimes will require you to use the Google Doc to do the whiteboard challenge session. So some of the tips here as you run through your challenge or the design exercise, what you should do is to hone your collaboration skills. So even if you are practice alone, try to pace yourself and pose the thoughtful questions throughout. What you should avoid here is don't ask some lazy questions. For example, what do you think we should build in here? What's your solution? Or what do you think we should build? If you aced all of this UX design interview, you may get the second informational interview. This round of the interview is very similar to the second steps, the background interview. You will get expected to meet the team member and the hiring manager. The company is used to this to test their concerns, such as the cultural fit, the specific aspects of your experience that they think you may lacking before they issue you an offer. So no matter what the steps you have been went through or come over, the final advices I want to make here, set yourself up for success and do whatever making you comfortable, feel confidence. Feel free to ask your recruiter about your upcoming interview information. Collaborate with your recruiter to get more information. Also set yourself with some mindset. Although you are being interviewed by a company, companies. This position also has to be fit for you. Be transparent about whether this companies align with your career trajectory. And also, you can leverage your network. Talk with the employee who is already worked in that companies. Ask the questions that you may not get a chance to ask the interviewer. Make sure that the culture is fit for you and get some full picture. Best of luck on your upcoming journey. You are going to do great. Be yourself, you will ace it. If you like this video and want to support my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Leave your comments below in the comment section and let me know what you think. I hope to see you more often in my future video. Bye!